Hello, how's everybody tonight on a Friday night? Dana, you're sitting down way low. Adjust the screen back a little bit.
Okay. Oh,
No,
that way.
there you go. We had a busy day today. I'll be honest with you, I'm wore slap out. Want to speak to you a little bit about this gentleman here we covered the other night. We were hoping to get his mother on, but she is unavailable to do that. So she sent us a video, a short video, and we'll play that in just a few minutes. He is still missing. He is nowhere to be found. And I'm going to play that little video she sent us.
She is getting on a plane to go back to Detroit is why she had to send the video.
Okay, if I can get this down here.
My name is Tatisha Stevens Duncan. My son's name is Marquez Tyrell Duncan. He's 22 years old. He's a college student at Tuskegee University. He has been missing since February the 23rd. I last spoke to him at 9:38 p.m. He was at home. There's nowhere on earth my son just vanished out of thin air. Somebody knows something. Can anybody let the local police, if you have any information of his whereabouts? The smallest bit of information is proven to this investigation of finding my child. I beg and plead that someone returns my son home safely. Any information, please contact Crime Stoppers. There is a reward for him. Or call the local police in Tuskegee, Alabama. His name is Marquez Tyrell Duncan. He's 6 foot tall, 185 pounds.
All right. She's still missing him. As far as I know, and she didn't relate any more information. I don't think that they have any other information about where he is or what happened to him as far as that goes. So maybe somebody will feel a little guilty and tell him. The only thing that was kind of weird about those situations, I think probably she could need to get a hold of some of the fraternity people that he was supposed to pledge for and find out if they knew anything. Because usually they keep up with their guys that are pledging a fraternity. Also, he had, according to the principal or the dean, he pulled out of college, had quit. So something's up, and I hope that she finds out what it is. If I'm not totally correct on that, if she's listening, I hope she'll come in and talk to us and tell us what really happened, because we don't know what. But I'm happy to play that, and I hope that we can hope and pray that he is recovered, find his way back home, or somebody tells what happened to him. I can't imagine, missing a son or a daughter like that. Okay, we're going to talk about tonight. I've had a lot of people ask about human trafficking, and this will pretty much automatically get my video demonetized for this particular video, but it's so important that I don't really care. So we're going to discuss the signs of human trafficking. And this is a video put out by Zoe International for Human Trafficking. I want you to watch it.
Today, if you saw somebody chained to a post, you would do something about it. But in the days of the transatlantic slave trade, it was a normal sight to see. It isn't as clear today of what modern slavery looks like, but by knowing the signs of human trafficking, you can help protect yourself and you can help protect others. Traffickers would often brand their victims with tattoos, using words such as daddy or cash. Trafficking victims may show sudden changes of dress and behavior. They may suddenly have possessions that they usually can't afford. They may have unusually long work hours. Victims may have new...
All right, that was a good one. I hope I don't get a copyright strike for that. I hope they don't copyright it, because everybody needs to see that type of thing, needs to know the signs. I know that down, and I've talked about this before, down on the Gulf Coast, all the way to up and down Florida on both ends, all the way through Texas. Any of the souvenir places down there, they use a lot of Russian, German, Jamaican, Asian, black. It doesn't matter as long as they're from overseas workers. And like I had said before, a lot of these places will take their passports and then they would demand, like if they're making $10 an hour, to pay them $2 an hour, or pay them money to stay, like put 15 or 20 of them in an apartment and still charge them $400 or $500 a month. So all of it is human trafficking. Anytime they take their passport, threaten to do something to their parents or relatives in their home country, that's a form of human trafficking. And I think that's even more so than a lot of it, because in that group that we had dealt with, there was prostitution and a lot of other sex crimes also, or the sex trade, put it that way. And another thing, real quickly, I was researching a case in Pennsylvania. This 82 people missing this year, juveniles in Pennsylvania. And they said Pennsylvania was one of the main hubs for human trafficking. 82 missing since January 1st of 2020 to end of December 2020. And I was concentrating to start off with on this guy, Maverick Wilton, I think his name was. And just today, I just checked to see if he was still missing. They found him deceased. So he was 17 years old. So I don't know the circumstances of it, but he was drowned. So they could have been anything. But I ran into the numbers of 82 people that juveniles turned up missing last year in the year period, 82 in Pennsylvania alone. So I know that a lot of those runaways, and a lot of them came back probably, but a lot of them maybe didn't either. And they considered that Pennsylvania a major hub for human trafficking. These are some of the signs. These are some of the signs about human trafficking from an academic point of view. Academically unengaged, performs under the grade level, and a sudden change in academic performance. So if you have a straight A student, a female, you notice that she's not being engaged anymore. Yeah, I'm not just saying mostly, but I'll tell you why in a minute. It's mostly females that are trafficked, and that they suddenly are making, C's. It's not that's not automatic, but it's just another, a first sign, you might say. Behavior: they avoid eye contact, gaps in memory, resist being touched. I noticed a lot of times females, especially females, if you're talking to them, if they're maybe in the sex trade, you're investigating. Now, I don't know any other way to say it. We had calls for prostitution and stuff like that. The girls wouldn't look at you. They wouldn't engage you with their eyes at all. They would look down. They didn't, if you had to arrest them or whatever, and you put your hand on their arm, they might pull away or cower down a little bit. And unfortunately, you have to make the arrest of the female. But hey, that's a way to get them off the street and maybe get them into custody, where you can give them options to leave a lot of times they had pimps, so to leave their pimps and to find out, how, the cities can help them. Because most fines for prostitution, sex offenses like that are like $25 in most cities. Physical, visible scars, bruising on them. You might look at them and think, oh, well, she's a meth addict or he's a meth addict, but visible scars and bruising, appears malnourished, appears like they're not getting enough to eat, shows signs of drug and alcohol abuse. And I noticed when we did these prostitution stings, the ones that had the pimps, they would be in the cars down there. We'd end up taking them down too. They would get the bigger charges. They get the promoting prostitution and stuff like that. They would get the actual charges they go to jail for. The others go to jail, but they may actually get helped, and the others, the pimps, on the other hand, do not. They get more charges. Emotionally, they have low self-esteem. They may exhibit depression, anxiety, or fear. And a lot of that is because they feel trapped in that type of lifestyle and they don't know how to get out. Either they're addicted to drugs, like their pimp will give them narcotics and get them addicted to hardcore drugs, knowing that they're never going to leave as long as he is their supplier. Or they may fear for their family. They may fear for their brothers, their sisters, especially if they're overseas, if they're from Russia or Jamaica or something like that. And the people that are keep them tell them that if you try to escape or try to turn away from us, we'll go kill your family. And I know that particular happened to two that we interviewed, that they said they were threatened and their family was threatened also. Exhibit sudden burst of anger. And I don't know, I guess if you had them in custody, they would do that, but I don't know I don't know how that would be, man.
They have no control. So,
right.
Somebody's controlling every aspect of their life. So if they have a sudden burst of anger, you can understand.
Has a older partner, much older partner, and they're saying it's not like 4 years old, 5 years old. They're talking about the girl may be 18 and her partner may be 50 or 60 even. And they feel like they're being controlled. Lives in an unstable or abusive home.
Okay.
So
listen, MH said, Shelley Frederick said she instinctively felt something was wrong for the moment she saw the girl with dirty blonde hair sitting in the window seat of on aisle 10 of a flight from Seattle to San Francisco. As about 14, 15 years old, traveling with a notably well-dressed older man, the stark contrast between the two set off alarm bells in her head. Frederick tried to engage them in conversation, but was unable to, I guess. She left a note in one of the bathrooms. Frederick said she wrote back on the note and said, "I need help." Wow.
Did they turn them? Did they get help?
Sorry, I'm just copying and pasting this article. I remember reading it a while back. Okay.
I wonder if they got her help? She's
pasting and cutting, so maybe she'll get to that part.
And has a sexual online profile. Now, I don't know if you know it, but if those that are not in the United States, or maybe they are even aware of this, Craigslist got really super bad trouble with the federal government because they were basically running an online sex trafficking ads. They had ads on there where you could hunt for basically prostitution online and Craigslist, and they would have all kinds of stuff. Well, they got in trouble. They almost got charged with conspiracy. But there's other sites too that do this. There's a site called Backpage that is full of that kind of stuff. And other sites, they'll disguise it with all kinds of things. Male seeking male, male seeking woman, woman seeking male, and then they'll put in there, 60 roses, 120 roses an hour, 200 roses an hour. You can put anything you want, but they are saying it's $200 an hour. And we investigated this along with the FBI. So I'm very, very aware of this sort of thing. And I think the feds are looking at this too for some type of thing. And you got to think about these places like that are allowing this type of traffic on their website. It's crazy.
They arrested him when he landed.
Good deal.
The founder of Airline Ambassadors is trying to instill in airline staff across the nation as she trains them on how to spot the signs of human trafficking.
Yeah, and we had a young lady that worked in our city that was a support group for running. She was from Brazil, and she was running a support group for girls that felt like they were human trafficked. And so if we got something like that, we'd call her, and she would, take over. These here, and see if I can read some of these. These are kind of for adults, human trafficking red flags. For adults, third-party control of schedule and social interactions, isolation from community, family, and friends, evidence of violence, bruising, swelling, scarring, tattoos or branding. When I hear branding, I think about that there's a fraternity that it's a black fraternity. My partner when I was a field training officer in my early days of law enforcement, I had a guy robbing me. He was black, and we became very, very good friends. And he had a tattoo it was actually a brand on his arm. They branded him in a fraternity, and they're called Q Dogs. And they had this actual brand. They were a branding iron. And I used to kid him about joining Q Dogs. Why couldn't I join you? I'm white, but why can't I join? He said, you'd have to take the brand. I said, nah, no thanks.
Remember, was it 2 years ago? There was some man that had one of the actresses getting him young girls, and they branded them.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
That was right about the time
the Epstein thing. Yeah,
right about the time of the Epstein thing.
Sexually provocative clothing and inappropriate in situations of weather, frequent movement, erratic schedule, inability to speak English. And this comes with the young adults that came over, that sort of thing. Yes.
Beach Bum asked if you could put this on the community page, what you're reading right now.
Yes, and I've got a lot of that kind of stuff in here, though. Lack of knowledge about the community. So, if you get people working at a local store, I find it's more on the beach, though. Beach areas, like all the way from Texas, Mississippi, place like that. Any of the souvenir stores, you go into any of them, I don't care which ones they are, and I guarantee you there's Russians working in there, there's Jamaicans, Russian working in there, there's all kind of Asians from China and everywhere working in there. Instead of coming over here on a work visa, they don't really come on a work visa, they come on some other type of visa, and they start working. But or they come. But I've seen the ads that they put in these books. They'll put palm trees hanging over the water. It looks like Fiji or somewhere, and they'll say this is what it is, down there, and it's easy to find work and all this kind of stuff. And then they get wrapped up in these organizations, and they don't speak English. But the weird thing about it, we actually had 3 or 4 police officers marry the Russian girls that were over here working, and they met officers, and they started dating. Wondered, I guess, that people thought, we better not try to human traffic these people or whatever. I don't know. It was a mess. We had the State Department down there and everything. Identification documents in hand of a third party. See, that's exactly what I said. The 2 girls that came to me and my partner and asked to talk to somebody said that they were in Panama City working. The guys came in and they took their passports and said, we're leaving in an hour, load up all your stuff, and took them to another city and told them they had to work and do these things. lack of knowledge about the community, dehydration, exhaustion, malnourished, dizzy, headaches, memory loss, traumatic brain injury, untreated chronic diseases, dental, vision problems, chronic back pain, muscle sprains, cardiovascular or respiratory issues related to exposure to chemicals, serious industrial injury. And for children, changes in their school attendance and habits, appearances, socioeconomics, friend groups, interests, school activities, vocabulary, demeanor, attitude, or sexual behavior. Luxury items like manicures, designer clothes, purses, without explanation of the source of income. A lot of truancy, getting into trouble in the company of older teens or adults, sexual provocative clothing, tattoos, branding, hotel key cards with them. That's a big thing. I've often been with officers, stop someone on the side of the road, and they'll be teenagers and they'll have a hotel card in their pocket. And you wonder what's going on with that. You've come to find out during investigations they may, have runaways there or drugs or prostitution or whatever. Refillable gift cards, multiple phones, and social media accounts. Yeah, and this is something you need to really watch with your kids. If they ever come home with a burner phone or they have a burner phone in their possession, take it away from them and find out what the heck is going on, because that is a big time red flag. Lying about their existence, those accounts, refusing parents access to their accounts. I'm just telling you this. My children didn't have the right to have anything I didn't have access to. That just wasn't working. Sexually provocative pictures on their phone or other online accounts, unexplained injuries, bruising, swelling, redness, cigarette burns, claimed older boyfriend or girlfriend, lack of ID, multiple runaways, short period of time. And, that one thing there, let's see. One thing I'm going to tell you too is a little bit off topic, but especially if you got a boy in your family, a boy or even a girl in your family, a kid, child, you need to school them on sending pictures over the phone and receiving pictures, especially the guys. They'll get somebody to send them a kid, maybe a girl in school did something sexually or nudity, and they send it over the phone. When they receive that, that's possession of child pornography. They can go to prison for that. They can be tried as an adult if they're 16 years old and older. Just a lot of stuff. You can't send that. If the sender can go to jail, the receiver can go to jail if he does not report it immediately or delete it. And even if they delete it, they need to report it to an adult immediately. And I'm sorry, but that's just the way the law reads. Human trafficking within the United States. According to the Department of State Trafficking and in Persons report, the United States is a tier 1 country for trafficking. According to the U.S. Department of Justice, reports 83% of confirmed cases in the U.S. are American-born citizens. That said, the U.S. Department of Justice estimates 14,500 to 17,500 people are trafficked into the country every year. So that's other people from outside. Prostitution and trafficking around the Super Bowl, during the Super Bowl, I guess that Super Bowl, what is the Roman numerals there? Is that 18? I I can't read it right now. I have to write it out. 19. I don't know. I don't know. 98 man. I don't know. Authorities arrested 45 pimps, rescued 25 child victims of human trafficking during the Super Bowl. Authorities arrested 600 people and rescued 68 during the next Super Bowl. And I wish, it aggravates me because I cannot read that. It's that's 10, 50, and 9. So that can't be 1959. I don't know. Somebody help us out here. Oh, I feel stupid today. According to the National Human Rights Center, there are currently 10,000 forced laborers in the United States, around 1/3 of whom are domestic servants, and some positions of whom are children. Ugh. Although the United States can issue up to 5,000 visas a year for victims of human trafficking, only a very small fraction of them have been granted in the recent years. 100,000 to 300,000 children are at risk for commercial sexual exploitation each year in the United States. Wow. 2016 Global Slavery Index estimates that including the U.S. citizens and immigrants, 57,700 people are victim of human trafficking. And that's in the United States. Yes.
Did you read all that backwards?
Yes, I did.
I don't know about them, but I'm looking on there trying to figure out where is he reading from?
I read it backwards. I started at the top and read it backwards.
48.
Okay, thank you.
I'm not sure what year that was.
Yeah, me either. Thank you. Was there a problem that I read it backwards?
It was for me.
Okay.
Because I was I thought, well, I'm on the wrong page. I don't know.
To keep you on your toes.
No, that didn't keep me on my toes.
Salvation Army. First off, I'm going to say about Salvation Army.
Yay.
If you are going to give to anything, any type of charity for Christmas and stuff like that, give to the Salvation Army. They only pay their executives like, I don't know, $12,000 a year.
95% of all the money goes to the people.
And not to talk bad about other ones, but like the Red Cross pays their executives in the hundreds of thousands of dollars, and Salvation Army only gives them like 12,000. It's unbelievable how much Salvation Army works and does for their people, for the people that need it. We just support them big time. Would you know if someone was a victim of trafficking? They're even going out and advertising signs of human trafficking.
Okay.
And I'm going to skip the ones we discussed, like they say bruises and signs of physical abuse, living in an overcrowded, often rented house, not being allowed to speak to anybody. And that's where we're going back to the houses that we used to see that would have locks on the outside of the bedrooms and would have an estimated between 5 to 10 people living in one room. And I'm talking about a 10 by 10 room. They would have bunk beds where there might be 4 people living there. There might be 2 to a bunk bed, and even they have a mattress in the floor. Getting mini buses and vans at all kinds of strange hours. If you have a house in your neighborhood, see all these people living there, and you see these little mini buses come up and drop people off and pick them up. Looking unwell, signs of poor diet, being unwilling to engage with you or cooperate in the workplace, working within a poor safety environment for little or no pay. And what do you say?
T.S. Jackson said, Thomas, why do so many go back to it when they've been rescued?
And one reason is drugs. They get them addicted to drugs. 2, it's almost like the syndrome. What is it? The syndrome I'm thinking of, where you fall in love with your captives type. I can't think of it right now. I apologize for that. I cannot think of it right now. What it's called?
What?
The syndrome where they fall in love with their captives. That's what they said Patty
Stockholm
could,
syndrome.
Stockholm. That's what they say Patty
what I
could
have.
happen to Patty Hearst.
That's what I have.
Oh, really? But is she fell in love with her captives and their ideology. But now I think that may be one, and they may have been threatening their family. You run away from me, you leave me. They're going to kill their family, their brothers, their sisters, their mama, or they'll say, a lot of these, but they'll get on drugs, or they'll actually feel like they're family. Maybe they didn't have any family all their life, and these people, even though they're treated bad, they still have a belonging. So that's what they go back to. But most of it's because of drugs. Now I'd say 9 times out of 10.
Sam said the most serious consequences are those we cannot see. The psychological damage is the number one side effect of sexual abuse.
Yes.
One of the things that you need to talk to your children and grandchildren about is there needs to be a safe word, but how many times do we as parents, or my kids when they were growing up, I didn't do it as much because I learned real fast, but how many times do we tell them, be nice? If someone speaks, you say hello, you be nice to people, don't be ugly to adults, and all this other stuff.
And I didn't interrupt you, but I'm thinking of one real thing real quick is how you say, hug their neck. They want to hug, and you say, go ahead, hug their neck, be nice. And maybe they're a perv,
Yeah. I always told my kids, trust your instinct. That if your child does not like somebody, trust that child. Because I'm going to tell you, I trust my dog. If my dog don't like you, then you ain't a good person. I mean, and so if a child does not want to hug somebody, or doesn't want to speak, or hides behind their parent or grandparent, leave that child alone. But teach your children that if they're picked up, someone tries to grab them, to start screaming to the top of their lungs, this is not my daddy, this is not my mama, as loud as they can, and practice with them that. Get them in the house with you, and pretend like I used to do this with my cousins, little girls and boys. I would pick them up and say, I'm a kidnapper, I'm going to kidnap you, how are you going to get away from me? And at first, they would just barely kick at me and stuff, and I would say, I'm going to get you in the car before you can stop kicking, and so then I continued to work with them. One night, they almost broke my hip. So, yeah.
What about Mindy in the store?
Yeah. One time Mindy was, and some of you may have heard this before. I can't remember if we told you this or not, but we were in Sears one day, and Mindy was right there beside me, but she was on the other side of the clothes rack I was looking at. And I said, Mindy, and she said, Mommy, where are you? And I said, I'm right here. My voice must have carried, and when it did, she took off running the way my voice, I guess, carried. And she was screaming, Mommy, Mommy, Mommy. And I was trying to get her, but I couldn't. And this lady at the end of the aisle grabs Mindy up, and she's holding her out as far away from her body as she can, because Mindy's screaming, don't steal me, don't steal me, don't steal me. And the lady said, good gosh, nobody could steal this child. I didn't, but I had some scary things happen. I had a man try to take Dakota out of my arms when he was 3 months old. I mean, he pulled him, and I started to scream, but there comes my husband, but he could have gotten my son in his arms and took off running. And then another time I was in Walmart, and from behind me, I heard a guy say, that baby would bring a good price on the black market. And my heart stopped, y'all. And before I could turn around, because I was so afraid, the person was gone. It may have been a demon that was trying to scare me, but whatever, it scared me.
Yeah, we're very, and even, we were always very, very protective of our children, but she was just,
and
Mindy was just
like, act it out. You know what? My cousin had a small closet off in the playroom, And so I pretended like the closet was the car I was going to try to get them into. And so I scooped one of the girls up in my arms. She was 7, 8 years old, scooped her up in my arms, and I said, I'm getting you in this car. And the first time I got her in without any problem. After I explained to her, I'm a bad guy. I'm not your cousin. I am a bad guy. And if I get you away from your mommy and daddy, I might hurt you. You've got to do this. You've got to fight me. Lord have mercy. I never got that child in that room again. I mean, she knew exactly what to do. And they, anytime I babysit them, and I still go over and babysit them some, they always ask me, can we do the scenarios? Can we do it? And they learned to scream. If they've got neighbors, well, they don't have neighbors real close now, but we used to do it, they had neighbors real close. And I often wondered what they thought, because those kids would be screaming, but they knew what to do.
All right, we'll go to the next slide here. And this one I thought was pretty something here. NK, though, I can't remember now what that was. I apologize. I don't know when NK was. I know it was not in the United States. Forced labor, domestic, 28%. Forced labor, hotel, 4%. Forced labor, petting, 7%. Restaurants, 1%. Forced labor, sweatshop garments, 3%. 7% elderly, construction, 1%. And non-commercial sex trafficking, which I don't know. I guess I do. And then commercial exploitation of children, but commercial sex trafficking, like 38%. And, and I'm not going to go into this because I don't want to put this out on the air. Enough people know as it is that are involved in it. But when we were working the child trafficking, the child stuff on the computer thing where pedophiles and everything, there are so many channels on YouTube, and these not necessarily YouTube, they ban a lot of that stuff, but they are channels, sex channels like YouTube that are free, that offer all kinds of perversion and sexual stuff, and sex with strangers, and in the parks, and on the outdoors, and for these. So you got to be careful not letting your kids on the computer. I'm talking about this something. All they got to do is say they're 21. I mean, how many kids would not say they were 21? No proof or anything.
Okay, 2 things. One is my cousin was sitting and watching YouTube cartoons with her son when he was about 2 years old. And in the middle of the cartoon, it changed to a sex scene and then went back to the cartoon. Had she not been watching, she would not have known that. The other thing is, Beast Nation says, Mr. T, I have a question. Are registered sex offenders allowed to be in the house with their own children if they did not abuse their own children?
That depends on the state they live in, because I know of a registered sex offender in Tennessee that does live with children that he did not sexually abuse. And that the thing was, he was living.
We don't know that he.
Well, I don't know all the details, but he is living with 2. I heard about he's living with 2 and called the sheriff's office on him, and they said that that was family, non-abusive family, is what I was told. But I was concerned that he lived under 1,000 feet from a high school.
Okay, here's another one. TS said some nutcase kissed a 1-year-old on the lips in a store while his mom was preoccupied. The dad saw it, and the man was arrested. Who kisses a child on the lips? I did my children, but I wouldn't do somebody else's children.
No. Yeah, Mindy used to give us a noodle kiss.
Yeah, she'd give us a noodle. She'd come in the mornings and she'd say, Mommy, can I have noodles for breakfast? And I would say, well, if I can have a noodle kiss.
Yeah. Our baby's not feeling good tonight.
No.
We don't know what's going on.
In fact, y'all can add her to your prayer list. because she's got something going on that she's not real sure about. Her eyes are swelling and she's just feeling achy. She went and had the COVID test. She does not have COVID. So anyway.
Yeah, I didn't get her today when I called her. I left her a message.
She called back and I talked to her. Yeah, Aaron, that's what I thought. Registered offenders couldn't be around kids.
I think they can be around any kids they did not offend, and if they live in the same house with them, like they were married.
But this was a stepfather.
And this was a stepfather that we knew, but I'm not 100% sure on that. And it's probably state to state, because registered sex offenders can't live within 1,000 yards of a school. They can't be around a school when it's like they can't go pick up their kids from school. But I think they can live in the same house as their own kids. I'm pretty sure in some states, other states, I'm pretty sure that's a state by state issue though. So don't quote me on that. I wanted to cover one more thing and then we'll get to just questions and talk a little bit. This is actually, how does your state rank for human trafficking laws? And the dirty dozen states that have the I guess the leniency of laws is Alaska. And I can understand Alaska because Alaska is considered kind of the last frontier, and they pretty much don't like laws, period, up there.
Can they not go around schools forever, or just till probation is over?
I think as long as they're a registered sex offender, they can't be around school, period. They can't live within 1,000 yards of a school, and they can't go anywhere. Kids are like game rooms or stuff like that. No, I'm pretty sure forever.
Once you're on the predator list, you are on that list. Beach Bum says it may be different based on circumstances as well, Thomas.
Yeah, and states. I would check with your own state, because California may be a lot different than Alabama or some other states, or Texas. Anyway, dirty dozen is Alaska, Arkansas, Colorado, Hawaii, Massachusetts, Ohio, Oregon, South Carolina, South Dakota, Virginia, West Virginia, and Wyoming. And I think a lot has to do, just like Wyoming. Wyoming is probably one of the least populous states. I mean, you can drive all day long and not even see a house. I mean, there's not too many. And plus, they got a lot of big state parks in Wyoming. But it says basically, let's see, states are evaluated on the strength and inclusion of the following 10 statutes: sex trafficking, labor trafficking, asset forfeiture for human trafficking crimes, training on human trafficking for law enforcement, human trafficking commission, task force, or advisory committee, posting of human trafficking hotline, safe harbor, no requirement for force, fraud, or coercion for minors, no requirement, and victim assistance and civil liberty. And I want to tell you about a situation which I call this human trafficking, and probably the people that were involved in it probably did not, because they figured it was just the way it was. I knew of a guy that owned a company that had mostly Hispanics working for him. I would say 99.9% were Hispanics. He would get them jobs in construction. They'd make, say, $15 an hour, but he would take $2 to $3 an hour. He had 450 employees. So in essence, he was making about $1,200, $1,300, $1,400 an hour off of the people he had working. He also rented them little small storage buildings. And I'm talking about the kind, metal ones that you put a lawnmower in. He would rent those, put a bed in it with an air conditioner, And that's where these people lived. They didn't have any cooking. They didn't have any toilet. He had outhouses, porta potties in this area. And eventually those got shut down. A lot of them got shut down, but it was hard to tell because when the people were out doing what they were doing, they were locked up just like they were storage sheds. So, and most of these people that looked into this stuff were working only 9 to 5. They didn't work after the hours that I did. So I would see what was going on, report it to them. And, by the time they got ready to go home, these guys wouldn't even come in to about 11, 12 at night. But he also had a money laundering service. Basically, he had a thing where they would send money back to Mexico. And if you don't know it, I would say 90% of all Hispanics working in this country send a lot of money back to Mexico because you can buy a whole lot of stuff in Mexico for $1,000 a month. You can live like king down there.
It's like Michael's mother's thinking about going back to Vietnam because $200 over there, she can start her own business.
Yeah, I mean, the peso is not worth much down there. The American dollar is king, and they can go down there and they can have there's places that they call expats. They live down there. They're the Americans that want to live in Mexico, and they'll have like a community. They have a big wall around it. It looks like a fort. And they'll have hired military Mexican police working as security for them because they can afford to pay them.
But that was the one. Remember, there was one that just they were killed right when they were coming back to America for something.
Yeah, but
a family of what? 12?
Yeah, 12. But they lived down there 40 years. The family had, and Steve's father-in-law or one of the two father-in-law lived in Mexico for like 30 years. It's just, I guess, once they get used to it and know how to deal with it down there. And but anyway, he finally got arrested by the FBI because what he was doing, you go in to send money, and he said, we don't send over $10,000 at a time. We'll send 9 here and 9 here, because if you deposit more than 10,000 or you send more than 10,000, that's automatic reporting to the IRS. So he was vocal about it. I mean, he would tell them, we'll send 9,000 and then tomorrow I'll send the other 9,000. So he was circumventing the mandatory reporting to the IRS. When they finally arrested him, I remember they said that he transferred $400,000 through a little building that was about 5 by 5. That's all it was. Just a little 5 by 5 square building. Had a fax machine and a thing where you send money in there. I don't know exactly what it is, but he charged like 10% of every dollar that went in there. He charged 10%. So, $40,000 was just what he made right there, plus $1,500 an hour for this group. So it was a criminal organization. That's all it was. And another thing he was doing, while we're on this, he would put 50 cars in his name, and then he would sell the cars to a Hispanic that could not get a tag and insurance, and he would sell. So they may be paying $700-800 a month for a car that's worth $300 or $400-500 car. I mean, he would have the insurance and be in his name, so they wouldn't have to worry about that. They'd just have to get a driver's license. But that's a form of trafficking. That's human trafficking. He was getting rich off other people's labors.
What is the Israeli hand-to-hand combat that I told you?
I don't know.
Okay, y'all. Shoot. I don't even have my phone in here to ask Google. I'll have to figure it out.
Google knows everything.
Google knows everything. It's hand-to-hand combat that the Israeli. I saw it one morning on Good Morning America, and it was children taking down adults with this hand-to-hand combat that they teach to the Israeli children and to young people. And they have it in some places in America. And I promise you, if I knew where it was, I would go and do it. Because to me, that was fantastic.
I don't need you to know all that kind of stuff.
That way I can take you down. I can take you down.
Yeah. Well, I think that
Give me just
Tiger, the Draper's brothers.
Okay, give me just a second. I'm gonna get my phone and ask it real quick.
The Draper's, Tyson Draper, and I can't think of his name of his Tiger Crime or whatever. He had said that he's on Friday nights now, so I'm thinking it's after me. So I don't want to run into his program. I tell you what, I loved Dusty's opening in the 321 report. If you haven't seen Dusty's program, go over there and watch it. The 321 report, the openings. Go watch it just if nothing else for the openings. Unbelievable. Great. Great.
Phone.
I do not have your phone.
Y'all, he gets my phone all the time.
I do not have your phone.
Okay. Keep in mind, some offenders have not registered due to COVID. Yeah, some of them haven't registered. They need to.
Well, right now, the U.S. Marshal Service in the United States goes out and arrests somebody for non-registering of sexual offenders.
Okay.
So.
Hold on. I got an idea.
I got to erase one thing here real quick. I don't know if these appear in the thing or not.
Where's Google?
But
Google? Okay. Hand-to-hand combat. And I had a whole thing planned about that.
Well, see what you did. But
Israeli Special Forces. Krav, K-R-A-V, Maga.
Krav Maga.
Krav.
Krav Maga. That I know what it is. Not. I think it's silent. It's Krav Maga. I've heard of it now.
K-R-A-V, MAGA. M-A-G-A.
It's Krav Maga. Is what it is.
No R in there.
I know Krav Maga.
Krav Maga.
I know what
Look
it is.
It up. Let me see where we can learn this stuff and near me. I don't think there's one near me.
Israel.
No, actually, there are some.
I want to go to Israel.
Hey, there's a Combat Survival of Alabama LLC. There's it actually in Birmingham. There's
Trent used to teach that Aikido.
Y'all, if you're in Alabama, look up. Whoops, where'd y'all go? Look up. Here, I'll put it in here.
Two carbs. If you like these, two carbs. We're gonna go though before we are gonna go before we get on Tyson's. We interfere with Tyson. I don't want to do that.
Okay, Krav Maga. Y'all look it up.
Krav Maga.
And see if you can find a place near you. If you get a chance, go and look at some of those YouTube videos. No, Beast. I can tell you this: Jesus can change everything, but I think just like an alcoholic, you don't give them the opportunity to offend again. I've had experience with sexual offenders.
Yeah, and I'll just tell you this. I have not seen a single sexual offender change. Not one. Not in my entire career. It's a sickness. Let me say this. Next week, we are going to be in South Alabama.
So it may be hit or miss.
It may be hit or miss for us. If we're not going to be on, I'm going to put it in the community tab. And somebody asked me, Beachbum, you asked me to put something in the community tab. I hope that I did not erase it. I'll try, but I'll try to go. I'll try to put that in there. But if we're not going to be, I'll put it on there because this is our first really vacation.
It's not a vacation.
We see doctors and everything, but it's our first really time to get away and do anything in the last couple of years, probably 4 years. So, anyway.
Let me see that bottle. Somebody asked if it had something in it.
It does not have aspartame in it.
No, it doesn't have aspartame. Potassium benzoate sorbate,
All the chemicals that I probably don't need.
green tea extract. This is what it is. It's called Sparkling Frost Orange Mango. It's
Two carbs in the whole
two
bottle.
sugars, and that's it.
Well, the 2 sugars make the 2 carbs.
Oh.
Okay. Well, we're going to let you go. We're going to get out of here so Tyson can do his thing. And
That's great, Sam. Your eldest son is a 4th degree black belt. That is awesome.
that's awesome. Really good.
Stephanie said, read my message above. Hold on, Stephanie. Let me go up and see if I can find it. I don't know how far up it is. Okay, wait a minute. Ever since Teresa Fountain was on Tyson's channel about Suzanne, she is not getting threatened emails and calls.
Or she is getting threatened.
It says she is not getting threatening emails and calls. Ever since Teresa Fountain was on Tyson's channel. I'm assuming that's what you wanted me to read, Stephanie. It's on Tyson's community tab on his page. Okay.
All righty. Well, that's great. And we will see you next week, we hope.
I think we will. We might even come to you from the beachfront.
Whoever, whatever.
That would be neat.
If we could get internet. All righty. Y'all take care. We love y'all.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.